And we're back. You're listening to Front Page Tampa Bay with Ed and Rain on 101.5 The Vibe, Tampa Bay's only R&B. And we just got done talking to Ms. Marielle Martinez and the Nonprofit Leadership Center and the work they're doing with the R&B program to help diversify nonprofit boards here in the Tampa Bay area. And speaking of nonprofit organizations, we have Ms. Angelina Ryan in the studio with us today to talk about A1 Opportunities, people loving people. So I am a person who hadn't heard about the organization before. Isaiah brought it to our attention. How would you describe what you're doing with A1 Opportunities?
A1 Opportunities, we are here to motivate, educate, and inspire a variety of people coming from all walks of life. And our focus is homelessness. So we provide housing, guided direction, and customized case management for each of those unique needs.
That is awesome. And this area is growing by leaps and bounds all throughout Tampa Bay and surrounding. And I would imagine that as a result of that growth, we're also seeing an increase in homelessness.
Yes, very much so. And it doesn't discriminate for any age, for any race, for any disease. It is on the rise for every department of every avenue of life right now. So it is definitely a huge issue.
What are you seeing as some of the causes now that folks are experiencing homelessness? There's been a lot of talk about, the wage gap, where, folks aren't earning what they could to, basically, they're not earning a living wage. And so they're faced with, really tough decisions, pay this bill or that one, keep a roof over our head, food in the house. So what are some of the things you're seeing folks come to you when they are saying that they're homeless? What are some of the reasons they're giving you?
Sure. So there's a couple different things here. So the first thing that I'll make mention of is I'm also a realtor at Keller Williams. So I can see what's going on in the housing economy. It's becoming less affordable for people to purchase here or to even rent here. And all of that trickles downhill. So we have people that move here on a regular basis. So I'm sure you guys know what's going on with our housing market. On another hand, as far as that goes, because it's kind of limited inventory, people constantly moving here, it's causing an issue as far as the criteria that people need just to be able to move into a house, just to rent that house. And usually you're seeing, people wanting first month's, last month's security deposit, utility deposits, and there's not much that's feasible out there.
Yeah, especially now these days. My house almost has tripled in price as well as rent. One of my friends just got a 1-1 almost at $2,000. Who has that money to afford?
Yeah, I did a little study on something. This was maybe 6 months ago, and I did a research on MLS. I pulled up anything rental in Hillsborough County, and the cheapest thing that was available was a 1-bedroom, half a duplex for $900, and it was the only thing that came up available less than $1,000 in Hillsborough County. So just to move into that 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, half a duplex, it would cost somebody about $3,000 to $4,000 to actually move into that unit.
Wow.
So
that's insane. Because I remember back in the day, I lived in downtown St. Pete, $600.
Yeah.
And that was chump change. And
I was thinking about some years ago when I first got my first big girl job, and I moved out on my own, away from college town, away from home, and I had a 2-bed, 2-bath for $450 a month.
Wow.
Whoa, that's impressive.
But you wish you never moved now.
Listen, oh my gosh, absolutely.
So I do have a question, Angelina. So how did you get to where you are today? Because I remember you told me some stories of you was on the other side of the law, and that's what got you to completely flip your life, for the better. And here you are now. So explain to us just a little bit of what happened.
Okay, so sure. So this will kind of tie into the other reasons why I see homelessness is on the rise as well. So about 8 years ago, I was definitely on the opposite side of the tracks. I married he was a drug dealer, lower level drug dealer, but during the course of our 15-year marriage or relationship, it got more and more and more. So eventually, well, I was a nurse before that as well, but you fall into that cycle of what you're married into. It was a domestic violence situation, but on the other spectrum, it wasn't long at all before I was shooting heroin myself.
Wow.
Left that situation and found myself homeless in the streets, sleeping in parks, not sure where my next meal was going to come from. My grandma had custody of my kids. I was a hot mess, in and out of jail. I'm a felon. It took a lot for me to build myself and crawl out of that hole. But at the end of the day, I ultimately had to realize, hey, my life is out of control, and God, I need help. So that's what led the purpose and the passion for what God's called me to do now. And I really believe with all my heart and soul that this is my purpose in life, is to help others coming from my same situation.
That's awesome.
I wanna back up a little bit because homelessness is not something that I've ever experienced. I'm almost certain Isaiah and Ed can say the same. So when you're talking about being homeless, it looks different for a lot of people, right? It's not just you mentioned sleeping in the park. For some folks, it's bouncing from hotel to hotel, right? Couch to couch. What was homelessness like for you? Just because I'm looking at you now, and I would never have guessed, right? And that's just
God makes beauty from ashes.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've ever heard that or not, but
Tribbett.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. He makes beauty from ashes. So, in the beginning of my homelessness, it was the couch surfing and, hey, where can I stay? But during the course of that, and I was in that situation for about 2 years. So, it's the couch surfing, but then, you're not contributing or providing anything for the people that you're staying for. You're burning your bridges. You're getting high in their bathroom. There's multiple reasons why those bridges get burned, and typically it falls on the behavior of that person. Now, if I was making myself productive and not using dope or going to get a job or contribute, it'd be probably a different story. But when you get to that point, you're also that little demon takes over in your head, and you become like a psychological issue as well. So it's drugs, psychological. Then you're in that poverty cycle. When you do decide to get it together, then you don't have money. You have a criminal background, and what are you going to do then? You're not going to meet the criteria for that 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom unit. I'll tell you that.
Right.
That is a constant problem that I'm hearing about. When people go to do the background check, unfortunately, landlords are saying no to people because their background isn't pristine. So you said this is your purpose and your mission. And I love the fact that you've taken the situations that you've had in your life and turned that around and made those trials really a testimony. But you're not just stopping there. You're actually trying to do something about it.
Yeah.
So if somebody is in a situation where let's just say they find themselves in between and they're doing the couch surfing thing, how can they pull themselves out of that situation?
Well, it depends on kind of where they're at. But here's the thing. That couch surfing is still not a stable environment. It's not something that's really any kind of permanent structure. And we don't know what that environment is really like for them. But there are resources out there. So I know us, for instance, we're a resource. People call us, hey, I need help. I'm basically homeless. Just because you're couch surfing doesn't mean you're home. It's not really a suitable situation. They can call us, organizations like us, and so there's us, there's Opal House, there's all kinds of other places that do something similar. Everybody's a little bit different, but still mostly similar. So, and here's the thing, when they call us for help, it's not just, hey, here's a roof that we're going to help you with. We put them in a program with us to where we're figuring out, what does this person need? Does this person need a GED? Does this person need a driver's license to make them successful and a productive member of society? And we work with them for 6 months to a year. It's what we least recommend for them to get there and get structured. And then we let them figure out, okay, if you still can't find a room for rent, we don't kick you out. if you can't, I'm sorry, a place for rent. We don't kick you out. You stay as long as you need, as long as you're doing the things that you need to do. And while you're there, we hook you up with other departments for housing while you're there. So you could be on a waiting list to get help with housing, or maybe we take our real estate knowledge. We do credit rebuilding. We partnered with GTE Financial to help with financial literacy. So these are the places you want to get the tools to move on in life.
So you said stay with us. Mm-hmm. We don't kick you out. So that means you have a place for people that are in between. Or tell us a little bit about that. How did that come about?
It came about, it was February 16th, 2020, actually. I was praying, God, what do you want me to do with my life? You showed me favor, and you had your hand on mine the whole time I was out there acting a fool. So what can I do? So for 6 months to a year, I prayed that prayer, and it was the first time I ever claimed that God had actually spoke to me, and it was through a vision. And I just started writing everything I saw down. Every system in my body was activated. I had goosebumps on my goosebumps. The hair on my neck stood up. I had tears rolling down my cheek, and I knew it was something so significant. It impacted me so much that I knew I had no choice but to make this happen, what he showed me. And I didn't have all the answers. Still don't have all the answers. But what it looked like was more of a college campus. But God gave me the tools and the resources to start eating this elephant one bite at a time by accumulating residences and houses for people to live in.
Oh, wow. That's incredible.
So how many residences do you have?
Well, I actually only have, right now there's 4, but it's not that they have their own house. It's set up to where they are in communal living situations. So they're bigger houses, they share rooms, some are private rooms, and that's how it's feasible for us and how we can structure a program for them.
So you mentioned case management because you talked about the fact that, hey, we're not going to kick you out right away, but we are going to help you get to a place where you can potentially get housing of your own. So if the person, let's say they did have a drug abuse problem, right? Obviously, you're not going to have somebody that has that issue in the house. You do help them get the resources that they need to get cleaned up first, right?
Absolutely. So we require, so if they're on fentanyl, opiates, heroin, we do require 2 weeks of detox before they come, because we're not equipped to handle withdrawals there at the facilities. But we're also what is considered a Florida Association of Recovery Residences. It's FAR accreditation. So we are an accredited recovery residence. So with that being said, we do random UAs. It might be whatever time of the night. It's unexpected. There's we have a schedule. We create a schedule with each person. We know where they are at all times, and for them to be accountable for where they are at all times. We work with probation officers, court, Department of Children and Families. Wherever this person comes from, we work with those other entities with that person as well.
And Angelina, how are we able to help with the organization?
So a couple of different things. So we always need volunteers. There's 3 different ways that people can help, and it's the 3 T's. We call it time, treasure, or talent. So time, treasure, and talent. So time, of course, is your volunteering. We also do community outreach. Every 3 months, we make block parties for homeless people, which is really fun. We get entertainment out there. We've had some gospel singers. We've had some Christian rappers. And we bring out showers, clothes, food, barbers, cell phones, tablets, health insurance signups, and it's so that's one thing that people can help with, and that's every 3 months, which our next event is June 29th. And then outside of that, treasure is always highly needed. God put us on such a big mission. It's like we can't go out there and work for it, so we got to ask other people for it. So
nothing wrong with that.
Yes, so that is something that we definitely need right now. That's always a huge need. And with that, they can go to our website, which is a1opportunities.org, and there's a link that says donate. You can take PayPal, credit, debit, recurring payments, just saying.
Whatever's on your heart, right?
Yes, whatever's on your heart.
Yeah.
So I want you to stick around because we're gonna go to a break here, and we're gonna talk a little bit more because I'd love to know, like, what are you helping with human trafficking, for example. I see that on your website, and I know that's a big issue in our state. Unfortunately, in the Tampa Bay region is third. I believe in the state of Florida, I think we're the number one hotspot, actually, and third in the country for human trafficking, which is scary when you're a dad of girls.
Yes.
But stay with us. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. You're listening to 101.5 The Vibe, Tampa Bay's only R&B.
The all-new 101.5 The Vibe.
Tampa Bay is vibing with us.
Hi, this is Carmen, originally born and raised in Tampa, Ybor City area, and I am so glad that we finally have a new R&B station. Thank you, 101.5 The Vibe.
Yo, this is Jamie from Tampa, Florida. I love 101.5 The Vibe. We sure needed this in the Tampa area. We needed it. Now we got it, and y'all doing great. Love y'all.
Hi, this is Cindy from Pinellas Park. I am so excited that you've got this station in Tampa. Yay.
Click on the open mic feature on our station app and give us your feedback about the all-new 101.5 The Vibe, Tampa Bay's only R&B.
Now back to the show about you. Front Page Tampa Bay with Ed and Lorraine on 101.5 The Vibe.
And we're back with Front Page Tampa Bay with Ed and Lorraine on 101.5 The Vibe, Tampa Bay's only R&B. And we are here with Miss Angelina Ryan. We're talking about A1 opportunities, people loving people. And before the break, I mentioned human trafficking and the work you're doing in that area as well. Can you tell the listeners a little bit more about that?
Sure. So human trafficking can mean a couple things. Sometimes people envision, being kidnapped, held down at will, sold off, which it can be that. But on another note, it can also just mean somebody being, held or basically tricked, in so many words, against their will, or them not having the ability to think for themselves enough to know they are in that type of situation. It's a mind manipulation as well. So there's a couple different reasons, a couple different things that could actually mean. Now, as far as human trafficking to the extreme levels of it, so here's the thing. We are not equipped to take that emergency situation. Usually that's something that needs to be done at like the spring or other, undisclosed locations.
Right.
Their best bet is to do secrecy with the spring. They have an app to where you can talk secretly on text messages. But our organization steps in after the fact when they're stabilizing. Usually it's about 2 weeks that they stay in a place like that. So our facility steps in after the fact. So when we get people like this, we a lot of times see hand in hand with human trafficking and also drug abuse. And we are really high in numbers in the state of Florida with our human trafficking and sex trafficking numbers. As far as I believe we are number one in the state, and I don't know the ranking of the nation, but I do think it is third in the nation.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate.
Yeah, so we did have somebody from the FBI come in and speak to us a couple of years back, and one of the things is Dover and Plant City are known for a lot of immigrants. And I'm just putting it out there. This is the facts. This isn't saying anything.
Tell it like it is.
Yep. So Plant City and Dover, it's really high over there because there are a lot of immigrant workers that come in and out from Mexico. And then on the flip side of the coin, there is watered down cartel, call it whatever you want to call it. There are people that enter out of the country, and there's also drug abuse going on there. Typically, when it comes to trafficking, sex trafficking, the goal for most people in that world are to take people that won't be missed or aren't somebody that's really going to be looked for. So it's a high area over there, and that personally happened to me when I was in the streets and, living that life. So it is a very real thing, and it's right next door to us under our very nose that it happens.
So what was that aha moment when you went from homeless to going, hey, I got to get my stuff together? What was that went in your head?
So actually the situation I was kind of talking about right there is one of the significant moments of my life that I realized my life is out of control. I got picked up by a Mexican guy, and don't get me wrong, I have lots of Mexican friends. I'm just describing the moment. And I don't know what they gave me. I just know that I woke up 3 days later. My pants were down to my knees, and I had a top that was up more than what it was when I got picked up. I have no idea what happened. During the time I was out, shotgun on the bed, door was open, and I remember some Mexican guys talking about me being their new stepmom and that we were moving to Mexico.
Oh.
And I thought that was it. My life's probably over.
I'm sorry. Did you say you woke up 3 days later?
Mm-hmm. I didn't realize it had been 3 days later, though, until the door was open and I had no shoes on. I just took off running until I got to a gas station. And I don't know how long I ran for. Don't know. I just remember that fear of God being in me, and I wasn't even sure, am I alive right now?
Right.
What just happened to me? I'll probably never know.
And I mean, I know if you're listening to this story and you're concerned, Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office, they're always doing things. They're always doing work for human trafficking. 813-247-8060. That's the number to the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. If you know anybody in this situation, if you think you're in that situation, because a lot of times victims don't realize that they're being trafficked, right? Because of drug abuse and things of that nature. 813-247-8060.
Yeah. I'm glad you put that out there, because it is a very real thing. And like you said, sometimes you don't even realize that's what's going on or that's the plan for you. But when that moment happened, it wasn't that very day that I decided to change my life. It was within that week, though. I didn't know where my next meal was coming from. I remember being at the next ran down. It was a trailer, no power, no water. There was other people just sleeping in there, kind of just like, what's it called? Squatters type situation, spray paint on the wall. And I remember finding that, like, it was a jar of cookies, but there was no cookies, and it was just like the crumbs. And I remember sticking my hand in there, so hungry, just to want some of those crumbs, and a roach crawled over my hand, and I just swatted it off and still was eating it. It reminded me of like the prodigal son.
Yeah.
And I didn't care because I was so hungry. And I realized my life is out of control. And when you have no place to go but to hit your knees and beg for help and for God to save you, then you really get something that clicks in your head that you know it's time to make some changes. And I called my sister and I was like, I can't live this life anymore. I give up. Whatever I need to do, just put me somewhere. I'll listen to whatever I got to do. I'll whatever order you give me. And it took me to a place similar to what I have going on now. And every day got better and better. And I stuck with it. I stuck with it every day and prayed every day and got my relationship back with God. And He got me through it.
Yeah, that was your rock bottom.
My rock bottom.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
We're made whole and through His strength in our weakest moments.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't realize you're probably at your most powerful as a human being when you're on your knees.
Amen.
Because that's when God takes over.
Yep.
So, I mean, I hate that you had to go through that experience to meet the Lord, but I'm just glad that you did. And your testimony now is helping so many people.
Yeah.
A lot of times people don't realize you go through what you go through so that you can be a blessing to others. And that's what you truly have been. So thank you for coming on here and sharing this story, because somebody needs to hear your testimony. They need to know that this is not the end, but it actually could be a brand new beginning like the one you've had.
Yeah. There is really hope.
So once again, can you tell us how can we contact you, or how can we help?
Sure. So a1opportunities.org is our website. And on there, you have the options of contact, and it has the options of, there's different email addresses for different things. And then also to help, that donate button is bright and yellow for a reason. Bright and yellow.
Get your attention. Yeah.
Yep. Bright and yellow. And it'll take you to PayPal. Like, you can do credit, debit, whatever you want to do. But basically, those are the things that we need help with: contacting for treasure, time, and talent. That's what we would really appreciate.
Oh, and that's great. And on a lighter subject, what do you like to do for fun? Since we asked the other guests, what do you want to?
Oh, wow! Like so I go to church a lot. I go twice a week. I'm very active in my...
we are very church-friendly around here, so you want to shout out your church?
Yes, Tampa Life Church.
All right.
Tampa Life Church, 10930 US 301 North, and it's considered Thenodisassa, but it's really right off of 75. So Tampa Life Church.
Right.
We love everybody. Just saying 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. service times. 11 a.m. is the one I go to because I'm always late.
Well, I mean, you were late today, but it was for funny reasons.
Yeah. Yep, I'm always late for church, but we are that ministry that's bringing in homeless people and getting our people from our housing units to church. So with good reason, though, I run around like a crazy person all morning, getting everybody like little ducklings where they got to go.
Yeah.
But yes, very, very church friendly. But I love to play the piano and I sing, and me and my dad get together. Not a professional. I'm just saying I love to do it.
I understand.
No, that's still great, right?
Yeah.
The Bible tells you if you're singing to the Lord, that it's going to be better than the angels, right? So if you're just doing your best. So I want to talk a little bit more about former inmates, for example, because they have the toughest time when they're trying to reenter society in gaining housing.
Yeah.
How do y'all help people that are coming out that are reentering society?
Sure. So reentry is a whole nother facet in itself. So Department of Corrections is somebody that we do work with a lot. So we're A1 opportunities. So we are number one on the list in Hillsborough County and in Polk County for people that need to come and do their service hours, so community service. But we also work hand in hand with DOC because people can get court ordered to our program. So they can get court ordered to our program instead of going to prison. So let's say we do, I'm sorry, I just had a mind blank. It's oh my gosh, rehabilitation before incarceration is where I was going with that. Rehabilitation before incarceration. So on the flip side of things, everything that our organization stands for is personal experience as well. So I was a prison wife for 5.5 years. 5.5 years. My brother served 22 and a half years since he was 16. So it's something that's been very active in my life for a long time. So when people are transitioning to society, depending on how long they were in there, they're going to need psychological help. They're going to need help getting a job. They got fresh criminal records. So that's another thing that we help with when we're there. They're kind of under the protection of our organization, and we will help them and go to bat with them with finding jobs and with furthering their education as well.
I'm curious to know, because this is very heavy work.
Yeah.
It takes a certain type of person. It's one thing to ask God for help and help him direct you to your purpose. When you realize that this was it, because of what you went through personally, so you knew how rough it can be.
Yeah.
Did you just dive right on in, or did you say, hey, wait a minute, now I said I wanted to do something purposeful. I didn't mean this exactly.
Yeah.
Talk to me about, how you've been able to, because I'm sure there's been some challenges along the way trying to build this. How have you been able to stay the course?
It's actually been, and I still sometimes think, I'm like, God, am I really what?
Yeah.
It's me. Are you sure you want me to do all this? Am I really the one? But, they say he picks the one that, that one sheep out of the 99 and that he'll use. So, when he first gave me the vision, it was so big and I didn't really understand what it all meant. It kind of mushroomed into this, and I kind of just, when the door opens, they open. If it flows, it goes. And somehow or another, with what we do, it seems like everybody that's in this situation has one of those experiences or one of those issues. So it kind of just came about that, hey, I know what to do in that situation, or hey, I can talk you through this, or hey, I know where you can go to do this. And it just kind of all flowed, and it, to believe it or not, a lot of them are the same systems. They need a lot of the same structure and a lot of the same programs. So it's just bring them on.
Yeah.
We'll take them in. We love them all.
Wow.
Yep.
Wow. I'm also wanting to know from you, homelessness in some circles can be a dirty word, if you will, right? We do, and when I say we, I mean society in general, we do a lot of talking around it. We don't, we see the folks on the roadways asking for money or, what have you. In some instances, there's one particular gentleman that I pass on a route to visit my brother. He actually is sleeping on the sidewalk. He's got all of his belongings, probably every possession he has in the world right now with him.
Yeah.
So, we drive by, we walk past, we have our, preconceived notions about who these folks are.
Yeah.
But I just want to know, because you work with this population, have been doing so for so long, what is it that we need to know about people who are homeless? My thinking is that, and this is in my limited interactions and having, covered this as a journalist, is that, like you were saying earlier about the human trafficking, it can actually be right under your nose and you not know it. Meaning that it doesn't really have a look. We may think, but it could be our coworker.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Or a fellow parishioner in church.
Yeah.
So what do people need to know about this population?
So a lot of times people have this, what's the word I'm looking for? Almost like a preconception that all of these people are just bums, or they're worthless, or they're just, they're just there. But in reality, no matter what that person looks like or what you think is going on, no matter what, just still be respectful and show love. We don't need to breathe the negative energy and the down talking, the bad talking. They're already going through enough psychologically standing there. A lot of times those people that are standing there holding signs, they got that way for a reason.
Right.
I'm sure they didn't just say, hey, I'm going to choose to be homeless and hold a sign when they were kids. I'm sure they had to let go of some of their own pride to be able to do that at one point in time. And of course, over time, you get desensitized to it, and that just becomes their way of life. Sure. But there aren't resources for everybody that's out there, or the ability for them to find help, because they all each have a different problem. There's a lot of mental health out there.
Okay.
A lot of mental health. We see a couple families where they're basically Down syndrome. These people are Down syndrome. They get a Social Security check every month. They have a storage unit where they keep stuff. They live in remote camps, like in tents. Their problem is they're nice, they're sweet. They've had to endure the consequences of being homeless themselves, being dirty, having bites on them, people jumping them. It's really a horrible situation, because they don't deserve to be there. They're normal people, just like anybody else, that are trying to stay alive day to day. So the preconceived notion that they're all, junkies, or they're all
mentally ill, or whatever, right? The lowest thing you could think of. That's not true. It looks very different depending on the person.
Exactly. And right now, especially in Hillsborough County, the ages between 16 to 24 are what's increasing the most as far as homelessness.
And why is that?
Well, we got a lot of single parents out there, parents that are going to prison, jail, people that are on drugs, people that it takes a multi-family basically to live now. You see more people living together with moms and dads and grandparents more together. But ages 16 to 24 are more are becoming more and more homeless. And I also serve as on a committee at THHI, which is Tampa Hillsborough Homeless Initiative. And right now, that range is so high that there's a need, that there's grants out there for people that can help accommodate these teenagers or these programs they're willing to give money to, because of how scary it is. And it's just constantly breeding crime. It's breeding more poverty, and people they're young to where they're not able to get jobs or housing because of their age range and their lack of education. But it boils down to they don't have the parents or the supervision.
They don't have the community. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
We need to end that cycle. We really do.
Yeah.
How can somebody that wants to volunteer help out? Because I heard you mention, you have volunteer opportunities. What does that look like?
So we like to ask people what they are good at or what they like to do. So it really depends on that person that wants to give their time. Hey, what do you want to do? What are you good at? What can you do for us? So also on the website, there's a place on there where it says to volunteer. So you just click on that volunteer, and it will guide you to contact us, and we can get them set up with either an outreach event, even something as simple as maybe making gift baskets or making hygiene bags, or collecting things or donations for us to take out to the streets.
Now, I have a question. What is next for A1 Opportunities? What do you see in the future for your nonprofit?
Oh, I want to be able to help more people. But we're only as strong as our community allows us to be. But as of right now, we try to take in the people that we can, but we're limited as well. So I want to be able to reach out. I would say probably more towards women with children also right now, which I got to have something kind of separate for that because of the children.
Right.
You can't have children with sometimes the population that we're dealing with. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of what I envision next is women with children. Yeah.
I mean, I really commend you for the work that you're doing and for all the nonprofits that are out there. I had an opportunity to take a tour of Starting Right Now and the work that they're doing with homeless youth. Because they're within a specific age demographic between 15 and 19. And so they're not, foster care eligible per se because their parents are still around, but they're in an environment where they probably need to get out of it and they chose to leave.
Yeah. And
so there's a lot of issues out there. And I just admire people who decide to jump in feet first and say, I'm going to try to fix it.
Yeah.
My heart has always been with the homeless population. When we were younger, my parents in the church that we went to in New York would take us to Bowery Street in Manhattan, where you had a large concentration of homeless people. And we went in the dead of winter when it was cold, when the snow was out, and we would feed these people a hot meal. And that's where I learned not to judge a book by its cover, because the stories that these people would tell us, these were successful people who found themselves down on their luck. Sometimes it was pride. Sometimes it was drug abuse, but most of the time it was pride that kept people from reaching back out to family members and saying, hey, I'm on the street and I need help.
Yeah.
And so to be able to minister to those people and help them as a young person really gave me an outlook on life where I realized you're literally sometimes just a paycheck away from being homeless.
I was just about to say the same thing. We're all just so close to being in the same situation.
Yeah, economic or in some cases, folks, they get sick.
Yeah.
And they can no longer work or, and the next thing you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
I've seen more elderly out there too.
Yeah.
I've seen more elderly. And before, when I was talking to my mom, this is about a year ago, I said, Mom, I need to do something to help these seniors because as our inflation's going up, their fixed incomes are not
going as
matching
far,
with what our economy is demanding from these elderly people as far as anything from groceries to transportation to medicines. There's a little old lady that's down over by the transit center in a wheelchair that she can't walk on her own. She's in a wheelchair, so she's out there, and so is her schizophrenic son. So they have to stick together. And it's sad. Another gentleman, Mr. Ron. A lot of people that know that area know Mr. Ron. He's in a wheelchair too. Can't walk. I would bring him out briefs so they can use the bathroom in their briefs.
Yeah,
these are people that are in their right state of mind that know they can't maneuver, they can't move, they can't take themselves where they need to go. But these seniors need help.
Very quickly, you mentioned the block party on the 29th. Can you give us just a little bit more info, time, place?
Yep. So June 29th, we're going to be meeting over by the Marion Transit Center, 1301 North Morgan Street, and that's in Tampa. It's right downtown. So we're going to meet over there, and we're going to do our thing. We're going to bring out food, some barbers. I have to be careful because the city of Tampa kicked me out because we got kind of big. They didn't like all the homeless people coming, and they kind of get stuck there at the bus station area, but every 2 weeks they come through and do sweeps. But we're going to still go out there and we're going to keep helping. We're going to keep serving.
And what time will you start?
10 a.m.
10 a.m.
Yep, 10 a.m.
Well, we're going to continue to pray that God blesses A1 Opportunities and grows it so that you can continue to help the people who need the most help. And, anytime you want to come back on and talk about anything that you're doing, just let us know.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for being on today.
Thank you. I appreciate you guys having me, and thanks for letting me put our calls out there and the mission that we're on.